Welcome back, free spirits. Today, we're diving deep into the world of burnout recovery and alternative healing with our special guest, Peter Faleskini. Peter is certified risk manager and the developer of Orgon Wellness, a unique approach to holistic healing. Get ready to be inspired as Peter shares his journey from burnout to wellness and how he discovered his transformative power of Orgon energy.
That's right. Beautiful free spirits. We have Peter Faleskini on with us today. He is one of the last few active omniscient. How do you pronounce that, Peter?
Omniscient.
Omniscient, yes. He's one of the last active omniscient. He is an enthusiast and visionary leader who has transformed the global business landscape through a profound understanding of the definition and basic principle of the trade. His thinking and doing amazes colleagues and clients. With an interesting career in multiple sectors spanning decades, Peter's influence in the coaching and consulting industry is unparalleled. Peter, welcome to the podcast.
Great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Wonderful. We're excited to have you.
Okay, Peter, thank you again for being with us. I want to start our episode with something we found very interesting. One of the things that you mentioned on your LinkedIn profile is that you're one of the last few active omniscient and a passionate Meliorism. Can you tell us what it means to be an omniscient and a Meliorism?
Yes, let's start with Omniscient. The first, I think it's really important to say that today everyone is talking about specialization. So even if you are into economics, you are specialized in analyzing trends of, for example, inflation in a transitory environment that has something to do with uh, local population or local market and similar. So everyone is really focused and specialized right now. All the scientists, or majority of scientists, are specialized in one niche thing that they want to develop and explore. And that means that the world right now lacks people with more view from the top, that do not just care about every single detail, but can understand um, within one science multiple fields and also multiple science. For me, that is extremely important because I needed to understand a lot of physics, math, um, because of the frequencies and the crystals and the energy and power and all this stuff. And I need to understand a lot of psychology. On top of that, I was working for 25 years as an investment banker, so I needed to understand some economy in that field. And I'm also risk manager, so I assessed a lot of projects, did a lot of due diligence in business takeovers and similar deals. So all this led to just to become someone who's interested in so many scientists. And many people ask me, why do you think that you know everything? No, I don't know everything. I'm just in many scientists, and I talk to a lot of different scientists to learn more about the fields. So it's important to say, I'm not the one that sees all or knows all. I'm the one that is interested in many things, not everything, but many. As far as Meliorist is concerned, I am the one that really believes that if people do good things, regardless if that is at home or in their business or as a scientist or as a school teacher, if everyone is doing their best, the things in our environment will improve.
I love that. So there are a lot of things in there that you've put together that I wouldn't think right off the bat that would come together to create any sort of one thing, right? You mentioned science, there's a lot of math, business, and overall wellness. It sounds like overall everything that you do, everything that you've done kind of encompasses one thing. And we mentioned that you are the creator of Orgon Wellness. Can you tell us how that plays a role into all of these other things that you've kind of, become interested in and become so passionate and, educated on?
Okay, I'm one of the few fortunate people that can learn from my mistakes. So I'm I'm uh, I'm in a position that I can do a lot of mistakes, and one of my mistake that cost me dearly and cost me my health was burnout. So when I was working in high stress environment as a Swiss investment banker, I would completely burn out. I would gain like 60 pounds excess fat. I would I would eat junk food all the day. I did not understand that that is a handling mechanism for unresolved traumas and stuff like that. And of course, because of the whole body thing, I needed more and more push to do it. So in order to get adrenaline, I needed to assume bigger and bigger risks in business. So as a reward, I got bankrupt because the risks were the impulses were just too strong. They needed to be strong. So I assumed bigger and bigger or higher and higher risks. And of course, it backfired. Um, but that was a good thing because I survived that. I repaid most of the things that I owned, and I started to go from the city living into my family farm, and I started basically from zero. I said, okay, I need to relax, reset, and start doing it. So I first started because I was severely overweight. I started with fasting, and I just didn't eat, and that was really easy. Um, in principle, because when you stop eating, there are a lot of cravings, and these cravings are not just physical. A lot of them are emotional. So I had to start working on my emotions. But the first body transformation came from completely changing my diet. I went to keto diet and intermittent fasting and a lot of prolonged fasting. My body needed about 3 years to adapt and to clean out everything that I managed to do wrong in 25 years before that. So it's extremely important to say that Orgon Wellness was a principle that I admired or developed from the works of Dr. William Reich. He had a lab in Maine, and he discovered that there are this orgon energy going on. I'm not as good science to prove orgon energy until now. However, I can prove orgon intelligence. I know how to prepare our body to start healing itself. What are the outer and inner conditions that we need to meet in order for to help our body start healing? And from there on, I've developed multiple psychotronic devices. I was extremely successful in that. People from all over the world come to my lab to test them. And I also noticed that a lot of people know about orgonids, the pyramid-shaped object that steers some kind of energy, or they would call it energy. I would call it a frequency. And I've put all together into a 12-step program that helps high achievers that feel stuck turn their life around and become high achievers, but this time by understanding trade-offs and not sacrificing their family life and their health for their business achievements.
That sounds phenomenal. Sign me up right away, please. I'll take 2.
Okay, you'll get the link.
This sounds amazing. I can't think of a single person I know that couldn't benefit from this. I think what I'm curious about, Peter, is what was that moment for you that really flipped the switch? So you mentioned that you had a high stress job, you were burnt out, eating poorly, you knew you needed to do something differently, and you did do that. But what was that moment for you? And then from there, how did you go about developing the Orgon Wellness?
So basically, for me, it was the the emotional part of burnout, because I was not motivated to do anything else. So I was 40 years old, and I had a lot of things on my bucket list that I didn't do. I had a lot of time because my company went bust. Uh, and one of the things that I was developing for 15 years, but never had real time to concentrate and do it in one, let's say, period of time. I would take 2 hours here, 3 hours there. But I needed 10,000 hours in lump sum, let's call it like this, together to be able to um, check all the inventions of Dr. William Reich, um, re-engineer them to today, because the materials used today are different, emotions of people are different. Everything basically has changed in 70 years or so. So um, for me, it was not one event, it was just a series of bad decisions. And when my body stopped, and when my mind stopped, where I was completely depressed, I said, okay, I have to stop doing business that is not aligned with my inner values. And I have to start doing uh, things that intrigue me and that pose me an intellectual challenge, not just assuming extra high risks, but that I do something that really challenges me intellectually, that is not just scientific, that is also esoteric. And all this combined then led to Orgon Wellness.
That's amazing, because I think often we have this idea that there's going to be one thing, there's one component, one thing that we're not doing that's going to completely change the trajectory of everything. And I think that while it is true that it starts with one thing, the beautiful part of what you're sharing and of Orgon Wellness that you've developed, it sounds like it's that it puts together a lot of different tools to be able to help people sort of get to the other side of where most of us want to be, which is not feeling that burnout and being able to balance all the different aspects of our lives. Um, One of the things that I hear you saying a lot that I know impacts a lot of people, and I'm hoping this can be helpful to our audience, is what do you think is one limiting belief that you had that put you in that space where you were before you realized that you needed to make a change?
Okay, I can pinpoint that exactly. It was society induced norms and goals that I was following. And that was this limiting belief. Instead of following what I wanted to do, I was following what society wanted me to do. There was a huge pressure that I have to be successful, that I have these assets, that I have to travel there and here, and that I have to have this role in society. I have to be CEO of the company. I had to have a company that has billions under management. I had a company that has had multi-hundred millions of turnover and stuff like that. But that didn't make me happy, and I wasn't useful. Basically, I was just being lonely and more bitter and stuff like that. So it was completely the wrong direction. And my bucket list was like 10 pages long. And I just didn't work because everything was more important than my bucket list. And now I just have maybe 2 or 3 things more on the bucket list. And that's it, and I can die.
It sounds like such an incredible journey that you've been on so far. And I really appreciate that your priorities have shifted significantly, right? Overcoming this belief that you have to be successful. That is like the most important thing in life. CEO of the company, making a lot of money. And now it seems like things have really shifted where you're prioritizing doing all the fun things on your bucket list that really make life worth living, right? And I'm curious, in your whole journey that you've been on, what's the number one lesson that you've learned? What's the most important thing that you think you'll really take with you for the rest of your life?
Okay, the hardest thing for me to learn was done is better than perfect. Because I was perfecting everything in my business, in my private life. Everything had to be perfect. And now everything has to be just done because um, I don't have a problem making a mistakes anymore. I used to have a huge problem. I had to win the first time. I had to know everything, and it was a huge setback for me. I would also like to stress that developing Orgon Wellness was 240 weeks of mostly wrong things. I did all the wrong things and it did not pay off. That is why I wrote a book and developed the whole 12-step process in order for people to do it. For example, with the book, you can do it in 12 weeks instead of 240 weeks because you don't need to make all the mistakes I did. And that is why I made a list how you should do it and which step should be done first and which step should follow. And in my book, you can do it with the help of the book, you can do it in 12 weeks. With the help of a coach, you can do it in 6 weeks. If you go on a retreat, you'll do that in 7 days. So it's important that the self-discovery journey is full of rabbit holes and full of wrong directions and full of things that are ego-driven instead of doing the right thing. You just lose half a year in the wrong direction with the wrong coach, with the wrong psychotherapist, with the wrong hypnotherapist. And you instead of getting an accountability partner who should tell you, okay, that's enough, stop feeling sorry for yourself, do this, they go and cheer you and say, okay, it's normal that you feel sorry for yourself because you're so successful. It's normal that you think so. No, it's not normal. You need an accountability partner. And that is also why I have an audit before I engage with my clients to see if they can work with me, because I'm more like a drill instructor. And I know there are a lot of things that are in coaching that are like psychotherapy and you need validation and stuff like that. But I'm really hard and I'm real. So if you want fast progress, then I'm the one. If you want a cheerleader, that I'm the wrong coach. And we know that in the first hour. If that is why we have this audit before we start working together, so that you see if you would like to work with me or not. If I'm too harsh and you need someone to cry, a shoulder to cry on, I'm not the one.
I love that. What do you think are, just to give the audience something that they can do, right? If before they were to decide, hey, let me reach out to Peter and see how he can help with his Orgon Wellness, what do you think are 3 steps that someone could take to be able to determine whether they can work with someone like you, whether they're ready to work with someone who's going to hold their feet to the fire?
You mentioned feet to the fire. One, in every retreat, we stop our retreat with walking through fire, literally. So if you can come to retreat, we'll walk through fire. I will take you by the hand and I'll walk you through fire, and you'll see what you're capable of doing. That's one thing that I always do with my retreats. Anyway, the 3 things. The most important is, are you ready? Have you decided to change? Are you ready to leave everything you know and start building your new self? Because the transformation is about shedding your old skin, your old belief, your old egos, and start anew. I'm not speaking in religious kind of way. Okay, you need to take on new religious. Even more, my coaching program is designed so that you can still go on your yoga class. You can still eat whatever you want. If you are a vegetarian, I will not push you to become to go on a keto diet or something like that. It's not my job, because everyone knows what's best for them. However, I will push you to change your mind and change your mindset, and I will try to steer you towards new perception, because right now I'm able to make more money than I did as a CFO of a Swiss fund, because money just comes from a different circles. And I even run businesses that are fully based on donations, so that the clients that visit retreats, they pay whatever they want, because it's fully performance driven. So that is also, and I make much more money than if I would charge per hour or per retreat. So it's important to see the world through different lens. And are you ready to change your perspective? That is the most important. And are you ready to do what it takes? Because I'm into body cognition. I do believe that body is extremely important. And also, when they say healthy mind in healthy body, it also means that body needs to be healthy if you want your thoughts to be healthy. When I was severely overweight, I had 60 pounds over my, let's say, today's weight. Um, I was always feeling threatened, and I was slow moving, and I was not well balanced. And okay, I was big because I did a lot of weightlifting, nevertheless, but it's completely different agility. Your mind is completely different. You start doing things around the house differently because you're overweight, and your whole environment changes. So if you're thinking about the change and you think that you can change outside, it's impossible. You will have to lose weight if you're overweight. I will push you to do that. It's um, I'm I understand body positivity, and I'm all about body positivity, but I understand body positivity as appreciating where we stand. I don't like body positivity in a sense that there doesn't need to be any improvement. There's always the improvement is always possible, and body positivity should be just encouraging us to start where we are. And I do believe that the real body positivity is about, okay, I'm grateful for my body, I'm alive, that enables me many things, but I'm, as Indians would say, my first dharma, until I'm alive, I have to take care of my body. So if I can improve my body, I should I should be working on that. It's like, if you can improve your home, work on that. If you cannot buy your new house or new home, just make sure that everything is really nicely put it, that maybe you just repaint it, maybe you buy a new stuff that will add additional energy in it, but always keep it clean and tidy. That is the least that we can do, and I believe that is extremely important.
Some really good tips in there, Peter. As we start to wind down here, I'm curious what advice you might have for people that are struggling with burnout and depression, unhealthy eating. What are some steps that people could take right away? Just a couple easy things just to get them started on the journey before they really dive in.
Okay, I first start, if people feel stuck, and I'm specializing in people experiencing midlife crisis. I think midlife crisis was first discovered in the 60s, or mentioned in the 60s, and then our psychology and psychotherapy evolved to the event that we don't that we specialized in every single event or syndrome that used to constitute midlife crisis. But I believe midlife crisis is present, and we need to be aware of it. So I specialize in people feeling stuck in midlife crisis, and they don't know what to do, and they have to reinvent themselves. So it's important that we start with understanding what are our values and what are the societal induced goals that were presented to us and that we are trying to achieve. And that is why we are on a hamster wheel, because of the society induced norms. Because if you stop walking, the hamster wheel stops. And then values. What are our real values? How to get to our real values? That's a lot of work, a lot of meditation. I always recommend accountability partners. So what we really want, or how do we distinguish what we really want from what society expects from us? And then there are trade-offs. If you want to be a family man, you cannot have an international business and travel all the time. That just it's it's a trade-off. So get a local job if you want to be a family man. As far as the food is concerned and being overweight, it's extremely important to acknowledge that food is the most common handling mechanism for our problems, fears, or even traumas from the past. And when we start acknowledging that, we see food as a handling mechanism. Then we understand that our urge to eat something and to eat, for example, junk food, it's just urge to handle one of our emotions or fears or something like that. And when we start acknowledging that, it's much easier. And then I would always recommend, of course, if you have a medical problems, you should consult your doctor. That is disclaimer. But try fasting. Try with intermittent fasting. And you will see after 3-4 weeks, you'll see that maybe that snack that you ate in front of the TV, that was not necessary. And that if you eat for like 8 hours a day, it's more than enough. And when you start fasting, you will see that your digestion works 3 or 4 days normally, like you would be eating, even if you stop eating. and then you understand that we basically digest, for example, men about 3 days old food, and female about 4 to 5 days old food. So if we don't eat for 4 to 5 days, nothing happens actually. Everything is just in our heads. Of course, if we have above average physical activity, or we are under a lot of stress, that is not recommended to fast at that time. But if you can, when you have days off or at weekends, just try fasting. That is, you will become aware of your body. And when we become aware of our body, we stop treating it as a trash can. And we acknowledge that only the best food is good enough for us, and that we can eat a lot less if we eat quality food. And another thing that is important, because everyone is talking about budget constraints and healthy food costs so much more. Yes, that is correct. But for example, I'm from Italian descent, and with us, church is important. And in our culture, we have Friday as a day of fast. So if you just take one day off, that's 1/7 of your week. That's over 12% of your budget can be cut down.
I love that.
You don't eat on Friday, you just have water on Friday, and 12% of your budget for your food will be, you will save it. And then you don't need all that snacks. You just need to take care that you have enough proteins. And basically, you need to have, or at least I'll say my experience, I have to have a full calorie intake 2 or 3 times maximum a week. And I can be in deficit for 3 to 4 days, no problem.
This is amazing. I love everything you're sharing. There is so much knowledge and so much to tap into in there. I really love it. And I appreciate everything that you shared with our audience, because I think it really opens our eyes to the possibilities and the ability that we each have within ourselves to create our own path and to kind of create like a way that works for you. You know, like you shared, it's really about listening to ourselves, listening to our body, and understanding that wellness is wholesome. You know, there are so many components to it, much like the program that you've developed, Orgon Wellness, which I really appreciate. If someone in our audience, Peter, wanted to get a hold of you and they wanted to work with you, how could they reach out to you?
My best social media is LinkedIn. So if you type Peter Faleskini on LinkedIn, you will see all the Orgon Wellness. And then I have, of course, a webpage where you can book a call with me to see if I can help you. And I've also I'm selling my last book, uh, Time to Close Your Factory of Broken Dreams, 12-week Orgon Wellness program.
I love that. And I would ask, do you mind spelling your your last name for us, just for some of us who may not get it right off the bat?
Okay, so the first name is Peter, Peter, and the last name is Faleskini. So Faleskini.
Wonderful. That's beautiful. Kristyn, do you want to close us up?
Absolutely. So, first of all, Peter, we want to thank you so much for joining us today and sharing all this information. I know I've learned a ton. And for our free spirits, thank you as always for joining us. There you have it. Thanks for joining our show today. We want to wish everyone a good day and to continue to inspire lives by creating your own path.
Thank you, Peter.